Have you ever in your adult life looked in the mirror and thought to yourself, wow, I should be further ahead by now?
Dean Graziosi, he's a legend and a business owner who's built and scaled 14 companies generating over $1 billion in revenue. He's also Mr. Tony Robbins' business partner. I love this guy.
It is my ethical obligation to get them to pull out their credit card, give me their money so I can shift their life.
The only reason somebody fails is because they lack knowledge. I call it the ignorance tax.
If we want to rediscover ourselves, if we want to make more of an impact on others, if we want to make sure we created the experiences with our families, the truth is you need money to do most of those. When people say money doesn't solve problems, I say you haven't given enough away yet.
A misconception. It's a really good question. It's a really great question, Jeremy. It's one I've never been asked. I think that's such a profound question.
All right, so Dean, the first question that everybody wants to know is, you've got all these successful companies, you've been doing this for a long time. I want to know, what was the first thing you ever sold?
Oh, good question. Good to be here with you, man.
Yeah, you too.
First thing I ever sold.
Yeah.
Firewood to my teachers.
Firewood to your teachers. Okay, how old were you? Walk us through it. Why were you selling firewood to the teachers?
I was, well, I'm going to say 16 but I was 15. I was already driving at 15. My dad let me use the truck. Had an old beat up pickup truck and wanted to make money. And my dad had a piece of property. It was a relative's property or something that we could fish on, hunt on, and they wanted to clear it. Mm-hmm. So my stepdad at the time taught me how to use a chainsaw. And I just thought to myself, hey, they need this property cleared. Yeah. What if I charge them $50 a day? I'll go clear the property.
Most kids would not think that at all.
So different world. I grew up in a trailer park as a kid. So money I was fighting for money at a young age, right?
You were scrapping.
And at that time, not to digress too much, but we all have a reason why we fight for stuff. Sure. Right? And a lot of times sales is our quickest way to solve problems. Mm-hmm. Money solves problems. And the only way I know how to get money is to sell stuff. Yeah. Right? I'm not big on raising funds. I don't like borrowing money. So for me, I've bootstrapped every company by selling it. And it obviously was intuitive or in my nature. But long story short, my mom back then was working 3 jobs to help support us and all those types of things. And I just wanted money. Yeah. So I always thought of ways of money. So long story short, there's one more thing. I sold bubble gum in 7th grade.
Bubble gum in 7th grade.
Yeah, but let me get to the wood story. I got paid $50 a day to clear the wood. Wow, and then I realized they said, you need to take it. And I'm like, so I had a teacher, Mr. Pagnata, in 9th grade science, 9th or 10th grade science class. And I said, hey, do you know anybody that needs firewood? I said, I do. He said, I do. And I said, well, what do you pay? He said, it's $200 a cord is what I pay. If you can bring me seasoned wood or good oak, I'll take it for $200. He said, I remember he said, it's 4 by 4 by 8. Yeah. So meaning it's 4 foot high, 4 foot wide, 8 foot long is a cord of wood. Yeah. So I made the back of my truck half of a cord. Okay. And I started selling cords of wood. Started with Mr. Pagnata. I ended up serving about 5 of my teachers. I was making about $1,000 a week in 10th grade.
I mean, that's not bad. I think a lot of kids in 10th grade would take $1,000 a week right now, let alone a few years back.
Yeah, I thought I was the richest man alive. Yeah. One of the reasons I didn't go to college is because of that. Yeah. Because I thought to myself, there was a time when Mr. Pagnata, he was the coolest guy in the world. He used to hunt and fish and all this cool stuff. And he said to me one day, how much you making? I said, about $1,000 a week. He said, probably more than that's more than me. And I remember thinking, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to waste 12 years and come back and make less than my teacher. And maybe that wasn't the right decision, but that's the way I went.
You said 2 things that were really brilliant there. I want everybody to listen and watch here wherever you're tuning in. He said that he doesn't, the way he knows to make money is to sell things. And that's because he's mastered sales, right? He's mastered persuasion, influence. You do that, it doesn't, your life becomes really, really easy. When you have a lack of communication skills, as you know, life becomes a lot harder, more difficult. It doesn't have to
sell the right, if you can't influence to get the right partner, influence your kids to make great decisions, influence your team members to do the best thing for themselves and the company. I don't mean unethical influence. I mean very ethical influence. But influence is the key to great leadership. It's the key to great companies. I mean, the fact of the matter is, everybody listening, you're in sales, you need sales, you do sales, you know that sales are the oxygen to every successful company.
It is. Without salespeople, there is no such thing as an economy. If nothing's sold, there's no economy. If there's no economy, there's no such thing as a society. Like sales has been here since the dawn of mankind, whenever that was. You said another thing that was really important that I saw you say there, and you talked about like once you learned like, hey, I can make more money and maybe not even go to school, Let's talk, because you talk a lot about that on different things. You talk about like the difference between self-education versus formal education.
Of course.
Why is self-education so important?
Yeah, so what I'm about to say is not just a great topic for our podcast here. It's my philosophy. It's how I live. It's what I do. It's what I've offered my own children. Tony Robbins, my partner and dear friend, we own mastermind.com, which helps teach people how to become self-educators.
Unlock your knowledge.
What you do. I mean, you run successful companies and now you teach others the skills that you learn so you can condense decades. You can condense time, right? So at a high level, of course, you don't realize this when you're young. I decided not to go to college. And there was a lot of how, like, how am I going to be successful? I started with a car business, then I had apartments, then I started building and flipping houses and all those things. And the how can get difficult, but when you're grinding and you're hungry enough, you figure it out. And then there was this just massive revelation. And Tony Robbins was one of the first that I had. And now he's my dearest friend and partner. But almost 30 years ago, I bought a course off of an infomercial, sold to me.
Okay. Yeah.
I just appreciate that he sold to me.
Yeah.
I bought it. My family told me I was nuts for spending $300 for personal power. I got it and it shifted everything in my life. It made me realize that Tony sold me information, and that information allowed me to collapse time. I moved faster. I realized my past could be the wind behind my sail, not the anchor. And he also taught me things he learned from Jim Rohn and others, and I got to go faster. And that really anchored in what self-education is, whether you want to call it self-education, knowledge economy, whatever you want to call it, is really just this. To get from where you are to where you want to be, the fastest way is to find somebody who's already done it.
Yeah,
Cut
for
a check, pay for speed.
You're right.
Like, learn from somebody who's already done it.
It's so many people, there's like this culture is like, you know, oh, it's good to fail. It's good to like fail. And I'm just like, why would you want to fail?
Why would you if you don't need to?
Like, the only reason somebody fails is because they lack knowledge. I call it the ignorance tax. You only fail because you don't know how to do something. So a lot of people are like, well, I'm going to learn from my mistakes, and so I don't make those same mistakes. Oh, okay. That strategy takes years, if not decades, and maybe you don't even figure it out.
And the problem is, if you fail enough, you have to be superhuman not to just go, this is not going to work. I'll take that job that I hate.
Exactly.
Like that's just, I mean, so many times I'll have, especially younger kids, and I love the hustle of younger kids. A lot of times a valet, like, Mr. Graziosi, I know you are. Love your watch, or I love the thing. I love what you did. I love the thing. Give me just one thing on how to become successful. And it's never one thing. You know, it's a lot of micro decisions that add up to macro shifts, right? But if I give two things, is number one, find somebody who's already doing what you want to achieve and model proven practices. Don't try to figure it out. So find somebody who's doing it, model proven practices, and then find a hunger so strong that you don't quit.
Yeah. Like, find something you're passionate about, because that's important. Yeah. If you're not passionate about it.
And one more thing about the passionate thing.
People can give up if you're not passionate about it.
One thing I've evolved on the passionate thing is, yes, you need to be passionate about it, but most people don't give something enough time to see if they can be passionate about it.
Valid.
They go 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. It didn't work. I'm not passionate. I didn't wake up on fire. You got to get your ass kicked. You got to fail. You got to get back up. You know, if you think of the Theodore Roosevelt quote, you got to get bloodied marred. You got to get out on the field. Like, stop being in the stands with someone else's name on the back of your jersey. Get out on the field. And I tell my kids this, and I can talk about this with my daughters as a great example, but I said, you got to find something you like. Then you got to go deep, and you got to win, lose, fail, get back up, pay your success tax. Don't pay ignorance tax.
Don't pay the ignorance tax. That's expensive.
And then that's where passion will start to open up, when you're fighting for it and you learn from it. But you got to start with something you like, of course.
For sure. Well, you said something as well. So, like, what I found, that the one thing that I'd noticed from the most successful, it could be salespeople, it could be the most successful doctors, it could be, it could be you, it could be Tony Robbins, it could be, Elon Musk, is they don't want to learn from their mistakes. They want to learn from other people's mistakes, so they don't make those same mistakes themselves. So it's like Tom Brady, right? If he throws an interception back before he retired, he's not sitting there blaming anybody. He's like watching the game film, and he's like, oh, like, I did this, and the coach is helping him. Even though he's more talented even than the coach, that coach is sitting there helping him see, like, oh, you threw that interception because you threw it a little bit too high and it arched about 4 inches over. And so when he knows that from his coach and watching that, then the next game, he tries to eliminate that mistake. Of
course. And
that's all success is in my mind, is you're the best at making the least amount of mistakes. when it all comes down to it.
So true.
You know?
Hey guys, Jeremy Miner here. A lot of you guys keep asking me really good questions in the comments on how to sell more. So the easiest way to actually get a hold of me is to actually text me way faster. So 480-418-6755. So text me at 480-418-6755, because here's the deal. I started this sales training company to help you finally master sales and persuasion once and for all, which is, I know, what you want to do. So text me, and then let's get back to the show.
So true. And yeah, when you said self-education, so when I talk about it, I don't want people just think it's a thing that sounds cool. This is my philosophy on life.
Yeah.
I have 4 children. My 2 oldest are 16 and 18. My 16-year-old, I think, is going to go to college. He's been a straight A student since 5th grade. Academics are a big deal.
And it depends on what profession you choose.
Right.
To.
And he's been wanting to be a doctor for a long time. I see him leaning
You got to go to
towards,
school.
Got to go to school.
Yeah.
But my daughter, for a prime example, my daughter's always liked fashion design. She likes interior design. We go into a building. She's like, I wonder why they did that. It should be over here.
Yeah.
So she made the decision. She wanted to go interior design. I said, here's 2 paths. You can go to college and you can go down and learn a lot of general knowledge. Just being honest.
Basic.
You can spend 4 years getting general knowledge. And if you want to go to school to have fun, you want to party, you want different experiences. My daughter made the decision not to drink. So she's usually a designated driver.
Yeah, so
she doesn't
what's
go
the
to
point?
parties. So I said, but maybe you want to explore that. I'm a dad for all, as long as you're a good kid and you keep your values, right? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I said, but if you want the fast track and you want to be interior design, can I present to you 2 versions? So we talked about school. I said, I'll take you to any school to visit. We went to 2 colleges. We walked campuses, toured them. Yeah. And then I came up with a 2-year plan. And the 2-year plan is this: home study courses, a coach on consulting, or a coach on, interior design.
Yeah. That's done the things she wants to do.
Right. That does the things you want to do. Yeah. There's a software that the industry uses. You start taking courses on that, and you get an internship from one of the best people in town. You manage them, and you're going to be the best employee they have. And you're going to learn everything you can from them over 2 years. And I said, if you follow this plan in 2 years, in 2 years, you'll have on-the-ground experience. You went through the course. You'll be in 2 years, you're ready to get a full-time job. And probably 5 years, you're ready to start your own business.
Yeah, because you have that experience.
You got to have and I want her to have the experience. I don't want to be the dad who just waves a magic wand and sets her up in business.
That's what I say to some of these people that are so young, starting their own businesses. Like, that's great. You've got some training. Maybe you saw some gurus you follow online or whatever. But the reason why you're not going to be successful in the beginning is because you're lacking the experience and wisdom.
Absolutely.
You don't have enough experience. Therefore, you don't have the wisdom. When things go left, you don't know go right. You just don't know what you don't know. So I think it's really important to, no matter what you do, like, go and learn like that. Like one of my daughters wanted to go to school for social media. I was like, well, you're not really going to learn about social media because it's always changing, right? So why not buy you some courses from marketers that actually have been very successful doing this?
Learn from those that are already doing it.
100 times more, 100 times faster, and then you go get a job and you learn how to do that type of stuff.
Yeah, so we're on the same page. She just graduated this year. She's taken 2 different courses, one for the art side, one for the technical side. Her coach starts next month, just once a month with a coach, and she got her internship yesterday. So she starts next Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 9 a.m. to 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And in 2 years, she's ready to go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's well ahead of anybody that has a 40 degree. Now, that being said, you said it right. It depends on your profession. If you're an attorney,
of course.
A doctor, you got to go to school. Maybe if you want to be a high-level CEO, maybe you do want to take some courses and get your MBA. It just really depends on the path you want to go down. Like, I went to school to become a psychologist. One of the best things I ever did, because that's when I learned how the brain works and the nervous system and those type of things. Now, when I got out of school, I was self-educated a little bit more because I started buying books and courses and stuff, and I learned 20 times more, but that at least gave me the foundation of what I could learn. Yeah. Okay, so I want to talk about your virtual events. You do some very big ones. How do you influence someone to take action instead of just like consuming information and they get off and they never do anything? How do you influence them enough where they're like going to do what you say, like, I'm training you to do this, like, go out and do it, follow through, rather than they just kind of get off and their life goes back to normal?
You gotta enter that conversation already going on in their mind. It's a noisy world, and there's information everywhere. People call us the information age. It's not. It's the over information age. We have information everywhere we turn, right? But are they still getting the results they desire? You know, it's a lot of times when people say, oh, I've heard that one before. It's like, you heard it, but are you actually implementing it? Like, I don't want to oversimplify it, but if we want to get in better shape, there's a million things we could do. There's keto diets, there's Mediterranean diets, there's exercise, there's running, there's jogging, there's this, all those things. But couldn't you and I agree that if you want to get in better shape, if you ate smarter and exercised more, nothing else.
Yeah.
Everybody knows how to eat smart, right? Less bread, less sugar, right? Cut down on the dairy, eat some more vegetables, some more lean protein, get in the gym 5 days a week, do half cardio, lift weights. Like, but if that was the answer, if everybody has that solution, why isn't every single person we know in great shape? Because you still need the accountability. You still need to make things work, right?
They don't have a step-by-step plan.
Right. So in our big events, the one thing, and I hope this is obvious to everyone, is we're lucky. Our last 13 events have averaged 1 million people each registered.
Amazing.
Right. Yeah. And I feel great. I've been doing this for 30 years. I have a great megaphone, and my partner's been doing it for 47 years, Tony Robbins. He's the goat of goats.
Lots of wisdom and experience.
Yeah, we got 76 years between the two of us. So I hope we know how to do it by now. And I hope, you know, and I love the fact that I feel like our reputation has been so solid for so many years. So people have faith in us.
Yeah.
And we definitely, when we do an event, we'll do a 3-day event. Day one, we sell nothing. It is all education. It is all value. And we want to deliver that reciprocity. We want to deliver value in advance where people go, this is so good. I could change my life. But there has to be, and if you look through the lens of sales as service, because here's what I know, and Tony knows, and I know you know the same way because we had conversations.
Yeah.
Most people, if they just watch the free event, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, by Monday, maybe by Wednesday, they forgot most of it and they're back into their routine.
Your brain can't retain
Napoleon Hill in Outwitting the Devil calls it hypnotic rhythm. You fall back into a hypnotic rhythm that doesn't serve you.
That's their pattern.
You're not the pattern. You're not happy with it, but you're used to it. It's you let go of the wheel because the car just kind of drives itself.
Comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah. So what is our job? Our job is not only to educate and inspire. Our job has to be, and if you're listening in your business, if you know your business serves people, you're a doctor, you're in sales, you're in real estate, you're in selling cars, you can get them in a better car compared to the crappy car, whatever it is, if you're serving them, then it's our obligation to get them disturbed enough.
You have a moral obligation.
Yes, to take action. I know when I do an event, we did a fun event with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
I love this book, Green Lights.
That launch, yeah.
Yeah, I love this book, Green Lights. So I luckily got a hold of him after. I said, the book is great, but the world needs more McConaughey. Let's turn it into an interactive course. We have this model where we do these big live events. Let's do one. And he agreed. We hit it off, became friends. But here's what I want to tell you. We had 2.5 million people show up day one. Yeah. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
We could have just inspired a lot of people for 3 days. And what I explained to him is what I'll share with everybody here. If your book and inspiration was enough, then millions of people's lives would be changed, but it's not. Sometimes people have to pay for speed. They have to pay for connection. They have to pay for transformation. They need accountability. They need action steps. They need homework. They have to have a path and a plan or else they're going to fall. Yeah. I said, and then he got so into it. I watched this guy work his butt off for about 5 months. Then he flew down here in Phoenix and we spent a week together till midnight going over every bit of it. He's like, I want to change these people's lives.
Yeah.
So if I use that event as an example, we had a lot of people show up. They got a lot of inspiration. It was my job to not only teach, but to open the gap of where they were and where they always dreamed to be and why every time they think about it, they don't achieve it. They don't achieve it. They don't achieve it. So it's my job to weave in the through line of inspiration. This is great, but are you actually doing it?
You have to help them break their pattern because their patterns have kept them exactly where they're at.
So the whole thing, no matter what world you're in and what you sell, is you have to make sure that they see the gap of not working with you. That if I try to do sales better myself, I've been trying to do sales. I've been dabbling at getting better at sales for 5 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? For 5 years, I've been dabbling. I've read some books. I've taken a couple, but I'm not actually doing anything. You got to remind them that they're dabbling, and that's why they're not getting the outcome they want.
Yeah.
Especially
because otherwise you offer them no value. If they don't buy what you're offering, that means you don't solve their problems or emotional needs. Too, there's both of those, and they stay in the status quo and nothing ever changes them because they go back to the same pattern.
So just sharing that is, especially if any of those are, sales, like you almost look at sales as as like the pain point that you have to do to get the business you want. Fall in love with sales. Like, I'm just going to give you a little example. I watched McConaughey work his butt off on this course. When it was done, truly, Jeremy, it was a 10 out of 10. It's one of the greatest courses anyone's ever created. Obsessed on it. And I was the one that's going to sell it. It was his course, but he didn't want to do the offer. I'm like, I'll sell it, right? I remember feeling so proud. And I remember thinking to myself, every single person who goes through this course, and if they follow it, if they take the action, their lives are going to change. So by the time it got to where I had to look at the camera and do the pitch, I set it up and opened the gap that I was hoping by the time I got to the offer, people were thinking, I hope you got something for me.
Yeah. And that's what selling is. We talked about it. Selling, most salespeople have been taught, it's not their fault, that's just the way they're taught, that selling is something you do to people. Like you're doing it to them, you're manipulating them to try to make money. You and I know that you're doing this for them. And so if you're a sales, you're a business owner right now, entrepreneur, coach, whoever you are, salesperson, you want you to make the mindset shift that Dean is talking about here. When you start to really understand, you're not doing this to them, you're doing this for them, because if you don't do this for them, their problems stay the same. Nothing ever changes. When you start thinking that way, you will come across a lot differently in your body language, in your tonality, in your certainty.
My energy goes up when I go into the call to action. 100%. Because my belief is this. If I don't sell them, nothing's going to change in their life, and I'm doing them a disservice.
You offered them nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And I wasted their time. Secondly, somebody who's great at sales but doesn't care about people at the level I do is going to get them to spend money, and they're going to waste it. Therefore, I do not want them to be stuck, and I do not want them to get ripped off. It is my ethical obligation to get them to pull out their credit card, give me their money so I can shift their life. And that certainty flows through me every time I ask. And people always say to me, Dean, oh my God, I watched you do that pitch on Tony's stage, or I watched you in your event. How are you so good at the offer? And I never give myself credit for being perfect at the offer. I say something that is not that popular. I said, my sales exponentially shifted when I fell in love with my client. I fell in love with their outcome. And I realized if I didn't get a yes, I was screwing them over.
You've already seen this by tens of thousands. You've already seen the transformations. You have certainty. You know that it's going to happen if they buy into this thing. And you said something really smart there as well. You talked about, like, a lot of people, like, whether they're in sales or anything, they think that they can learn and master something by reading books. And here's the problem, that it just goes against brain science. Because I'll give you an example. What's your favorite song? A song that if I said, Dean, sing the song, you could sing it almost word for word.
Probably Frank Sinatra, My Way.
Okay, perfect. Great song. Now, what's like literally one of your favorite books? You read it over and over again. You just love this book. Just one of the favorites.
Dale Carnegie.
Okay. So we need that book.
Yeah.
So the average song has about 330 words. Also, the average page of one book also has about 330 words.
Wow.
Now, can you recite one page word for word of that book?
No.
Yeah. Do you know why? Because the brain cannot retain reading words. The reason why the brain can retain a song like 100 times faster is because of the melody, the patterns, because your brain picks up patterns in that melody and it recognizes the tonality. That's why you have to have like a course where you have like video training, constant repetition by holding accountable to master something. You can never master stuff by reading books. Books are like an introduction to something. It's never mastery. Yep. What neurosurgeon mastered brain surgery from a book?
Yeah, they had to actually do it.
Unlikely. Yeah, and they had to be taught by other people what to do, right? I love that. Okay, so let's talk about, so you and Tony, you do these huge events. You get 1 million people that register. What that experience, what has that revealed to you that about what people truly want in life? Because you see, what do they really want? You've done all these events. They're telling you what they want. What do they really want?
That's a really great question, Jeremy. It's one I've never been asked, and I think that's such a profound question. I think more than people realize, they want meaning. Like, for the first time of our last event, 800-something thousand people, we surveyed them on the way in. About 25% took the survey. Yeah. And for the first time ever, we asked them what they wanted. And whether it was number 1 or 2, but it was something it was an answer we never had before, and it was impact. They want their life to have some kind of meaning. Everybody wants to make more money. Yeah. That's just a fact. But most people want to make money not just for money's sake. They want it for the byproducts. And I think what people want, especially COVID, really put a magnifying glass on this. I think people went home for a little bit and said, God, I'm missing being a parent. I'm missing, I don't even know when my kids' teachers' names. I'm missing, like, I think that the byproduct of COVID, of everybody in home, some people like, the hell with this.
More
I need
self-aware.
more self-aware. But I think people really want, and this might be too deep, but I think they want to really uncover and figure out who they really are. I think some of us get caught in this hypnotic rhythm
Patterns.
and we forget who we are.
Yeah.
We forget the kind of parent we want to be, forget the kind of husband or wife we want to be, or what kind of spiritual connection to a higher power, or how we want to be valued.
Yeah.
So I think if I'm going to go deeper than just money and freedom and joy, like that's, we could say people want more time, more money, more joy.
Yeah.
But if we go upstream for that,
yeah,
I think it's purpose, it's impact, it's discovering who I really am.
Yeah, because nobody is sitting on their deathbed thinking about all the money they make, or thinking about like all the time frame. I think what they think about is what you just said, like the memories they created with their family, their loved ones. And I also believe they think about the impact they either did or did not do.
Of course, absolutely.
I think those are the things they think about at the end.
And let's just be honest. If we want to rediscover ourselves, if we want to make more of an impact on others, if we want to make sure we created the experiences with our families, the truth is you need money to do most of those.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to say it. And the reason I love sales and I love what you're doing is because I alluded to this in the beginning. Money solves problems. I don't care what anybody says. I retired my parents in my 20s. They both worked 3 jobs to make nothing. That solved a huge problem.
Yeah.
I have money away from my kids, not as a trust fund, but to help them flourish in business and in life. That solved a big problem for me. I provided over 40 million meals to feed through Feeding America.
That's a big
solved
problem.
the problem.
Yeah.
I've built multiple schools in Africa. We've saved thousands of kids from slavery. And that's just some of the stuff that we've able done. That money solved the problem. When people say money doesn't solve problems, I say you haven't given enough away yet. Right?
Yeah.
You haven't given enough away yet. So when I think of the personal things that people want, I want to be able to have more impact. I want to have more purpose. I want to discover who I am. I want to find out who I'm meant to be, not who I'm just in this repetition of being. Money can help fuel that.
Yeah.
And if money solves problems, the only way I've known how to get money my whole life is to serve people and sell them.
I agree. And I think, money doesn't buy happiness unless you give a lot of it away, because I think that buys happiness. I'm going to go out on a limb there with you and Tony feeding all these families. That money has brought you happiness because you probably feel good, like I'm helping these people out. So
he's over 1 billion.
That in turn,
he's over 1 billion meals provided.
That in turn probably provides some happiness. It depends on what you do with that money. So I always say money doesn't buy happiness. It just, like you said, it gives you a lot more options. And I really believe, and I know everybody watching and listening to us knows this deep down inside, that they really want to have more money, because I guarantee you they want to donate more to their church. They want to donate to more of their community. They want to give back.
Can I tell you something really cool? Just sidebar.
Yeah.
Tony gives away more money than anyone would ever know. Like he's probably in the 20-25% of his income.
Yeah.
Right. Doesn't say, you don't see it on social. He doesn't do it for the ego. Some people do it for so they can go tell everybody.
Yeah.
And that's just true.
Yeah.
So you remember the fires happened in California, burned down whole cities.
Yeah.
So Tony calls me at 11 o'clock one night. And I just use this as an example of why I strive to make more money, to make more impact, to serve more people. So he calls me and says, those fires, it hit some really wealthy areas, but it hit some not so wealthy areas. He goes, they don't even have money to pay for a hotel. There's nobody helping them out. They can't afford Airbnb. He's like, he's friends with the owner of Airbnb. He said, I just got off the phone with him. He said, I want to send him $1 million right now. And I want to do more, but let's send $1 million right now. You want to split that with me? Let's send $1 million. We can get some people in homes right away. We'll do an Airbnb credit. Everybody can get, 10 nights or whatever. I wired $500,000. He wired $500,000. 2 days later, he wired another 5.
Yeah.
And didn't even tell me until later. He's like, I made it 6 million. Right. How cool is it to be able to do that when no one's watching? I didn't put that on my social media. I didn't tag. I didn't say, look, this is what I've done. But I went to bed that night and I said to my wife, hey, we sent $500,000 to help some families have a place to stay. She's like, I'm so proud of you. I said, that makes me want to get up, sell better, impact more, serve people. I want to be able to do more of that.
Yeah. And like I said, I think everybody in the world wants to do that. Even if they say money doesn't solve problems, they're only saying that because psychologically they're trying to protect themselves because they haven't learned how to make that money. And so to make themselves feel better, they say that, oh, money is not the end all be all. It doesn't solve problems. But deep down inside, if they had more money, I guarantee you they would give back more like you and Tony are.
Yeah. I'll tell one more thing. I don't want to beat this up, but I had the chance to spend a week with Richard Branson. Years ago, a friend and I raised $1 million for his charity.
Okay.
And then when we did it, he invited us to Necker Island for a week. Yeah. Because we did that. And we went to Necker Island. He happened to be there. I didn't even know he was going to be there. I get up at 4:35 a.m. every day. Mm-hmm. He was getting up. So I see him like 3 times. The third time, he's like, hey, if you're up early, you want to sail tomorrow? I'm like, heck
Let's do it. Yeah.
Long story, I sail with him. And this was when I talked to him about how I could do more. That's when I was making more and more money. I said, how can I do more? Maybe somebody needs to hear this. He simply said this. He said, God gave you a gift, whatever your beliefs are. God, the universe gave you a gift to know how to make money. Mm-hmm. He said, we all have different gifts. He said, thank God for the person who goes to a soup kitchen and serves all day and takes care of the homeless. Thank God for that person. What we do without him. He said, that's awesome. But how cool would it be to go to that soup kitchen and bring him a check for $100,000? Yeah. He said, that was the gift I got. It's the gift you got. Mm-hmm. So if that's yours, go make more money and give more checks away. Yeah. And it was just so simple the way he said it. And he's like, throw me that rope. And I was just like, you just shifted everything for me.
It's a profound thing.
You just
I need to write this down. Okay. So I want to shift over to, we had Andrew Bustamante on the show yesterday, and we were talking about the differences between persuasion and influence. And I think he said something really profound, because I think a lot of people don't think about it. Persuasion is, you're there, you persuade somebody, or even better, you learn how to get them to persuade themselves. Like self-persuasion sticks internally. But really, influence is influencing someone or a group of people is more about, like, when you're gone, they still think about you. That's influence. So persuasion, you're there. Persuasion, you're there. Self-persuasion, you're getting them, you're there. But what happens when you leave and they're still thinking about you? That means you've influenced their mind, right? So like Steve Jobs, he's passed away several years ago, but everybody is still influenced by him, right? So he's done that. So I want you to talk a little bit about when you're up on stage, what are maybe like, how are you building trust so quickly? Let's say a lot of that audience, that 1 million people, maybe some of them know you, maybe some of them just saw an ad for the first time, or maybe they've seen ads, but they don't really know you. How do you build trust so quickly to kind of get them to let their guard down? Because if you can't get their guard down, they don't open up to change.
So I might not have the perfect answer, but what comes to my mind is people buy from you, trust you, learn from you when they feel understood, not when they understand you.
So true.
Most people, I watch speakers, I've been doing this almost 30 years, and I'll watch a speaker go on stage and share his or her experiences, what they've done, their accomplishments. And I watch people in the audience have massive respect. Like, that's amazing. Look what you've done. Started with nothing. Yeah. And they get off stage and they applaud for him. Didn't write a thing down. Yeah. And maybe you've had this experience. Then all of a sudden you watch another speaker and you feel like they're reading your journal. You feel like they know what your fears are when you're alone. And you watch the whole audience write nonstop. It's like, oh gosh, yes, I needed, that me. Yes. Yeah. The difference is, one is, I want you to understand me. Look what I've done. You should do what I do. And the other one is, I understand you. I've been exactly where you are. I know how you're feeling. I don't have all the answers, but I might have some. So I think it's entering conversations that are already going on in the person's mind. Yeah. It's letting them feel understood, not trying to get them to understand you. When I watch somebody get on stage and talk about their story for 20 minutes and pound their chest, I'm like, you already missed it. Yeah. You already missed it.
There's no emotional connection to that because it doesn't apply to them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think a great example of that, I do this presentation at Business Mastery, at Tony's Business Mastery, to share the power of, I call it a hook, right? And I learned it in the infomercial world, and obviously come over to social media. You need a hook is really a stop sign. What can you say in the first 30 seconds of a video, of an ad, of an email, anything? Make people go, huh, I want to see what else there is, right? Yeah. So I'm going to give you a prime example. I won't make this story too long. Long story short, Larry King, who had been around forever, 72 years of interviews. I did a Larry King style infomercial in 2007 that was the biggest of my life. I went from, having a decent business to $100 million a year because of this infomercial on my real estate book. And I did it like a Larry King show. Long story short, I meet Larry King 10, 15 years later. I tell him the story. And he said, well, am I too old to do an infomercial with me now? Let's do one. I'm like, heck yeah. I hadn't done an infomercial in ages, right?
Wow, okay.
I'd already moved on to the internet, right?
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'll bust out the old set and we'll do it.
Yeah.
So long story short, I had fun. And only thing I wrote was his open. And then we went back and forth just like you and I are. And I wrote that open based on all of his prior interviews. And he'd all start with, tonight on Larry King, I'm here with Jeremy, I'm here with Dean, I'm here, and they've done this, and they've done that, and they've done this. And that's what he said for Madonna and Gorbachev and Reagan and all of them. So I wrote it like that. And I went against my own philosophies. I made it about me. Tonight we're here with Dean, he's this, he's that. The show bombed. And I couldn't figure it out. And then I started thinking, oh, infomercials are dead. You make all those excuses in your head. But then it hit me. I said, I made the open about them, or about me, not about them. And I rewrote the open to, first I called Larry up, like, Larry, it's not working. And I was going to pay him per book. I'm like, I think I know what it is. I said, if I send a plane to pick you up, would you fly out and just re-record the first sentence? And he said, of course. Great guy. Flies out and he changed the open. And the open just went from Dean Graziosi, he's this, he's this, he's this, he's this. Changed it to, have you ever in your adult life looked in the mirror and thought to yourself, I should be further ahead by now. If
and you said something really important because it's how you say that. See, I know you're like, we're on a podcast, but everybody, if you're watching this, pay attention to Dean's facial expressions. If you're hearing it as well, pay attention to his tonality and how he said that. Because if you start off like, have you ever had this impression that your life was worth a lot more than it is? That's not going to move somebody compared to, have you ever felt? Maybe he nailed it. He's like, he said, have you ever in your adult life looked in the mirror and thought to yourself, wow, I should be further ahead by now? And he went, if you have, you are not alone. That show went on to do $100 million in sales. It's that.
I got to send him a check. I got to send him a check every week. And the reason I say that, you asked me, how do you enter conversations? Here's something you got to understand. I didn't change the price of the book, the name of the book, the pages of the book, the sales page, the order page. Nothing changed except the sentence that he started with, and it went from a bomb to a winner. So that's a short version of make it about them. Enter where they are. Meet them where they are. And a lot of times when you have success, you forget the pain that you used to have when you didn't. A lot of times when sales means nothing to you, you speak in acronyms and short little terminology that you acquired when people are sitting in the audience just trying to find. You got to meet them where they are. And different audiences are at different places. You might speak to people who are all making $1 million a year, want to go to 5. That is not the same place, same version of you.
The hook's gonna have
of
to be
somebody
different.
said, I'm quitting my 9 to 5 because I want to go into sales. It's completely different term. If
100%.
you had one talk for both of them, you'd be doing a disservice to both of them.
Is that emotional? The way you said that opening line, you immediately emotionally connected with probably most of the people that heard that. Were like, oh, that's me, right? And they're already starting to lean in where they already feel like you understand them, even though that was in 20 seconds. But it's that emotional hook and the way you said that, your tone. That's so important here. Like when I'm on stage, I might share my hero's journey, but I'm going to prep it. I'm not going to say, let me tell you about myself. I'm going to say, I'm going to go over a little bit of my story because my story relates to what is necessary if you want to take your skills to a level that most people don't even think they know. So now there's relevance on why I'm telling my story.
So I'm writing a book right now. And I haven't written a book in quite some time. And so I'm going to give you one more. I know you probably got other questions and I'm going a little long on these, but I think these are good. You need to tell your hero's journey. But something I started about 5 years ago, Jeremy, is look at it in a way where you're going through your hero's journey together. So forever, I used to tell this story, which is true. I took a walk by my grandmother's house when I was thinking of going into this industry 27 years ago. And at that time, I had already a collision shop, was Dean Collision Center. I was selling cars. I had tow trucks. I had apartments, and I was buying and fixing, flipping houses. I was doing better than anyone in my family had ever done. I already retired my parents, and I watched freaking Tony Robbins, and I'm like, I want to go in this industry. I want to help people and build an empire, right? Freaked out on both sides. And I remember I literally took a walk and one voice in my head said, you're not Tony Robbins. You're 5'7". He's 6'7", right? He's got money. He's got influence. He's got that voice. He's big. He's got all these pieces. You have a collision shop. You didn't go to college. You're from a tiny little town. Don't be an idiot. You're doing great. And then the other voice was like, I don't care. I meant for more. You can do whatever you want. And if this is your passion, it's your purpose, you got to go all in or you're going to regret it. I remember those two conversations. You've had them. And it's like a fork in the road and they're only a millimeter apart. I wouldn't say it was like, oh, I'm definitely going for it. I was back and forth. So I tell this, long story short, I tell the story and I'm so grateful I made the right-hand turn and took the gamble. I told that story for years because it's a true story. I know the road I was walking on. But about 5 years ago, I switched it. And I tell the story, but then I stop at certain moments and I go, have you ever been at that crossroad?
Yeah.
When is a time in your life? I'm bringing them into my story.
Your story where they feel like they're living
and
it.
so the reason I was saying about I'm writing the book right now, I have an editor that I'm recording, transcribing, cleaning it up, send it to them.
Yeah.
And they rewrote a section yesterday about one of my stories. And I had to tell them this morning, I said, you made that whole story about me. You missed the nuances of where I brought them into the story. You deleted them and made a 3-page story about me. I'm sick of hearing I.
Exactly.
So I literally rewrote it. And I said, wherever you see I, if there is not a way to bring the reader into the experience, then delete it.
Yeah, and I think we all have that experience. So it's incorporating your story into there. So like, and you could tell that, and there's two paths I could have took down, and I think we all come to a crossroads in our life where we have to choose which path we go down. And yeah, it's just weave it in because like, I talked about my hero's journey, and I get to a point where I'm like, after 2 months, I thought maybe selling just wasn't for me. You ever felt that way yourself? You ever felt that you had more money coming out of your bank account than you had coming in? And everybody's like, yes. You can see the whole audience like, dude, they're like, yes, that's me. But it's weaving that
subtle.
in.
And it's not big shifts. It's subtle.
And you're doing, like I said, we're not doing that to them. We're doing that for them because otherwise they disengage. They don't get much out of it. Yeah. I love that. Okay. So I want to ask you this question. What's one of the biggest misconceptions people have? Other than what we've talked about, what's one of the biggest misconceptions that people have about building wealth and having success in business?
Misconception.
What's a misconception?
It's a really good question.
Maybe something they think you have to do or know, and maybe they're just going down the wrong path.
I think there's a lot of them that come to my mind. It's like a flurry just came to my mind. But I think one of them is I think people believe if I go all in and build a business, I'll never find a work-life balance. And maybe that's for somebody who's already started or but I want to share, I don't think you'll ever find a work-life balance. Even if you have a job, there's no such thing as work-life balance.
If you want to be really successful at that job, yeah.
But what I do believe is that the thing you can get is life and work integration. Because if you do, listen, here's the thing that you just got to realize. You got to work the hard way for a short period of time so you can live a better way for a longer period of time.
Very true.
You have to put the work in. It doesn't come as quick as people think it does. You have to doubt yourself. You have to do more in the invisible than anybody's worrying. You're going to miss a dance recital. You're going to miss a date. You're going to miss a workout. Those things happen in the beginning for a short period of time. So eventually you can be in control of your decisions, your choices, your growth, your income, right? So I'd rather spend a short period of time being uncomfortable and be able to spend 30, 40, 50 years in control than someone else being in control and I subtly hate what I do every day for decades, right?
Yeah.
That's just a fact.
100%.
So that leads me back to life work integration. When you start falling in love with service, falling in love with sales, falling in love with the growth, falling in love with hiring more people, I guarantee you feel amazing. Every time you can add another person to the payroll, it's like I'm supporting someone else's family. We're growing together, right? If you fall in love with that, the lessons you learn there are lessons you help with your kids, your family, your teaching, and the lessons you learn from your family and your kids go back into work. And then all of a sudden there's a life work integration where you don't need them to end.
So true.
It's just who you are. It's your values. It's who you stand for. It's your principles.
Yeah. And I think you said something really really good there that most people might not have picked up. It's like when I get up on a virtual stage, let's say if we have, our virtual stages aren't as big as yours, but we'll typically get 30, 40,000 registrations for salespeople, or we got a live event, 1,000 people in there. Not only do I get up there for those people, because like I feel like, hey, I've got to perform at my highest level to help these people, really learn, get into our training programs to change their lives. Like it's up to me, like no one else. But I also feel that for my team, because my team worked hard to get those registrations. My team worked hard to build those slides. My team worked hard for the lighting, the video. Like I feel like I'm responsible for them as well. And so I got to show up. I have to be prepared. There's no winging this.
I'm with you on that one. I never want to let down my team.
And when you start thinking that way, that you're preparing yourself, because you're not going to show up unprepared for that prospect or those prospects. You're not going to show up unprepared for your team. Things will start to change, and it's really hard not to succeed. Like you have to try not to, like you have to really try hard to fail at that point. Okay, I got some rapid fire questions, and then I want to know, and then I want you to kind of send them somewhere where they can find out more about what you do, what Tony does, all that stuff. Rapid fire. What's the biggest myth about success you wish people would drop?
Biggest myth?
That you wish they just drop about success.
That it's for other people.
I love that.
It's not. It's for every person that can find model proven practices and find a way to be hungrier than everybody else.
Yeah.
Tony says this a lot, so I don't want to steal his thunder. I've learned so much, him being my partner, my mentor, my dear friend. But he said in all of his years, 46 years, he's the goat of goats. He said there's one common thread of the most successful people in the world: hunger.
Hunger. Because
when you're hungry, you're resilient. When you're hungry, you become resourceful in a way that unhungry people don't have. He talks about the people who are successful, they burn the boats. There's no option B.
There's no plan B.
It's just hunger.
I love that. All right. What's one decision you made that looked insane, but changed everything for you in your life? Looked crazy when you made the decision, but just changed everything for you.
Probably the biggest decision was being a broke kid, and probably one of the most successful people in my little town, most successful people in my company, or in my family and my little town, and going from that to something completely different, going in the self-education industry.
Yeah.
I moved to Phoenix.
Yeah.
I sold my houses, sold my businesses, and moved here with no employees, nothing, and said, I want to go all in on self-education.
Well, I think there's always that one person that does that, right? Because who is it? Is it Ed Milet that says that, hey, there's always the one person, like all these wealthy families you see that had generational wealth. Well, long time ago, they weren't wealthy. So there was that one person that put their foot down, put the stake in. It was like, hey, it's on me. I'm responsible. And then generations were changed after that. I love that. Okay. What's the most non-negotiable part of your daily routine that you never miss no matter what?
My morning routine. I get up, practice a little gratitude, just quick minutes.
Okay.
And I drink a green drink and go exercise. Been doing that for 20 years.
I love that.
And there's, it's always a non-negotiable, but if you travel sometimes, like you go to Europe, timing is off. And whenever I miss that, I'm just not in the space.
You don't feel the same.
I just don't feel the same. So it's a non-negotiable.
That's a good habit.
And
pattern.
Date night with my wife on Thursdays. I got to say that.
You got to have that. I love that. Okay. You're building a business in 24 hours with $0. What's step one?
Oh, 24 hours. Find one thing that I've accomplished that could move the needle for others, and I would literally go to Facebook groups of the ideal client that I could help. And I would start booking calls.
Yeah.
I would have sales before the end of the day of teaching people something I know.
I love that. What's something you're doing now that, let's say, 25-year-old Dean would have never believed?
Realizing that mindset is 80% of the success. In my 20s, I would have been like, screw all that jump up and down mindset stuff. Just tell me the tool. I'll outwork everybody. Now I realize that mindset's everything.
Yeah. And, one thing that I found, because the first time I went to your business partners event, it was a Date with Destiny back in December. So not long ago, because I'd read a bunch of books, seen him on YouTube, bought stuff like that. Never went to one of his events. And when it was there, everybody's jumping up and down. And I'm like, that's not my personality, right? But I'm starting to understand, like, why is he having him do this? And I'm like thinking, like, my brain thinks like in the brain, why is he doing this? Psychology. And it's because to get him into a certain emotional state. Yeah, because if they just sit there,
they've been in the same state, someone for 30 years.
Yes, he's just breaking their pattern. And I'm like, oh, that's why he does that. That makes more sense. I love that. Okay, last question. You've helped millions of people. What do you want your legacy to be at the end of this thing we call life before you transition? What do you want your legacy to be?
I would say two things. I love being a dad and a husband. So I would love for my kids to look at me and just say he was a good dad, right? Yeah. That would mean something more than anything else, and a good husband. That's profound. Secondly, though, and this wasn't always the case, is that my values are unquestionable. That I was the same man behind the curtain, the front of the curtain. If you had a spy videotape me, an undercover, a person videotape me for a week, a year, a month, that I'm the same person when no one's watching as I am front stage. Yeah.
One thing that it's just the way my brain works, probably yours too. It's kind of the way everybody's brain works is I notice things when I meet people, and I'm always looking for cues. And one thing that I can always tell about a human being's personality most of the time, not straitjacket, is how they treat the waiter or waitress kind of tells me who they are. And you were so nice to that waitress there. And a lot of successful people sometimes, I'll decide not to do something with them because they look down at the waiter or waitress because like they're above them.
I can see that
instead of equal. So I really appreciate it. That's the first thing I noticed about you. Is like, okay, he's a real person. He's not like fake. And then he's like, oh, I'm better than this waitress. You treated her like you're like best friends. Wow. So well done.
Glad to hear that.
Yeah, well done. All right. How can everybody learn about what you do so they can have more success and really change their mindset?
Follow me on Instagram because there's opportunities there. I try to post every single day. The channel's growing like crazy. Be on the lookout for some live events. Tony and I have one coming up in November.
That's right.
That's going to be spectacular. We're going to help a lot of people out with AI because people are so insecure with it. So we're in the midst right now of doing about 50 interviews of some of the smartest AI people on the planet. So we can take complicated stuff and make it simple.
I don't know. Rumor has it. I've heard that you guys might be interviewing our new business partner that we have in RA, Paul Allen. He's the founder of Ancestry.com.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
good guy. Good guy.
You like Paul?
I do. We have a lot of great interviews lined up. We're going to have a big event. And you can always check out mastermind.com as well.
Okay. I love that. And I'm looking forward to the Zenith event. It's going to be my first one.
You're going to enjoy it.
I'm in your mastermind. I love it. There's 30 of us? 25, 30 of us?
About 28. When we get to Mexico.
That. It's going to be fun. So, all right, everybody, make sure you go follow Dean, go to mastermind.com as well. Look, you got to have your skill level. Your skill level has to be there. You also have to have the right mindset because your mindset determines if you're going to follow through with that skill level, right? So you got to be committed to wanting to change. And I can't think of anybody else that has really mastered this, Dean, and also your business partner, Tony Robbins. Go to mastermind.com and make sure you follow Dean on his Instagram account. We'll put that in the show notes. Until the next episode, we'll see you then.